Hi everyone, I'm Professor Ross Tucker and we are now 6 weeks from race day, and I hope that you are fit, healthy, strong and enjoying the running and really feeling those sessions making a difference to your performance levels. We finally turned the corner in terms of the weather and the seasons, which means we have longer days, shorter nights, potentially some warmer training weather, and so we really are in a great position to capitalize on 10 weeks of base work and to now move into preparation for the race. We're in an important 2-week cycle because whilst this week is one of those recovery weeks where you do less distance, next week is actually your peak or pinnacle training week. It has the longest long run that I've prescribed. And so at the weekend, depending on which program you've chosen, you're going to go out and do the longest run you will do until the Sunlump Cape Town Marathon happens. Now that's a really important session because it's an opportunity for you to rehearse mentally and physically exactly what a race day will be like, because for 4 hours you will have the challenge of nutrition, of pacing strategy. And I want you to be mindful of those when you do that session in particular. With regards to pacing strategy, now is the time that you've got to start thinking about what you're going to do in terms of your walk-run strategy. Even if you're doing a 3:30 marathon, 4 hours definitely and 4:30 for sure, you can get away with, and in fact, I would recommend that you plan to walk in that race. You don't have to run 42.2 Ks. In fact, you will be far better off if you plan to walk before you are forced to walk. You'll see a lot of other runners run for 32 kilometers and then basically walk 10. I'd rather you started walking inside the first 10 in order to be running in the last 10 as well. So this is really important. Now, as you've done long runs, because it's not like 4 hours is the first long run you'll have done. You've done 2.5, 3.5. As we've built that distance up, you will have learned what you can tolerate, what you can manage in terms of continuous running. I want you to now be very deliberate about that. And when you approach that long run coming up in 2 weekends' time, make a note for yourself, literally on a piece of paper, and say, my strategy today or then is going to be to run 4 kilometers and then I will walk 4 minutes, and then I will run 4 kilometers, walk 4 minutes. For example, maybe it's 3 kilometers with a 5-minute walk. Maybe it's 6 kilometers with a 2-minute walk. It depends on your level of fitness, your level of comfort, your level of confidence. But it's important that you practice that, because the only way you'll know if you set the target right is to bump up against the ceiling. And so it's a very important thing to do. The other very important thing to do is to use that longest run, and I hope that you've been thinking about this and maybe experimenting with it so far, as a way to rehearse your nutrition. Reality is, you cannot get from the start to the finish line on nothing but water, because you need energy, and that energy primarily comes in the form of carbohydrates, whether that's gels or Powerades or Coca-Colas or some other food that you eat. Many people can't tolerate sweet drinks, and so they would prefer to eat potatoes or potato chips. Whatever it is, now is the time to start putting your mind to it and thinking about exactly what it is you're going to do on race day. So that long run becomes a rehearsal, in effect, 6 weeks out from the race. What do I eat before I start? The answer is whatever you're comfortable with, whatever's habitual for you. Maybe steer clear of dairy if it's a lot of dairy, and maybe steer clear of meals that are higher in protein. But stick to your own patterns. And then once that session starts, you need to make a plan. Maybe you've got to get a loved one to come and meet you after 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to give you something, whether it's a sports drink, a gel, or something else that you prefer. But practice makes perfect. There is no one way to fuel yourself to the finish line. So you need to take ownership. You need to do a little bit of, let's call it detective work on yourself, and experiment and use these last 6 weeks, particularly the long run, to perfect your nutrition strategy so that on race day you have it absolutely dialed. We'll speak again in 2 weeks when we're now in the final month of preparation. And again, that's going to be an important month in terms of peaking your fitness, holding back on your desire to test yourself too frequently, and finally just rounding the edges off on your nutrition strategy. So with that in mind, good luck for that longest run. You're now at the top of the mountain, you're on your way home, and at the bottom is that start line of the marathon. Good luck, and I'll speak to you soon.